welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on the show, we're bringing you highlights of a panel discussion I did in Mysuru on the topic of skill development and the city. We do 20 such panel discussions across the country. Do stay tuned. We'll tell you where we're headed next. Let me kick tonight's panel discussion off by posing a big picture question, and that is as far as how really Mysuru, and this is for each of you in the audience, if I can get opening comments, how can a city like Mysuru tap into both the geographical as well as the economical advantages that it has to ensure that skill and skill development is something that is helping propel it to the next stage? And let me come to you first, Mr. Ram.
Mysore has got an advantage and a disadvantage. Advantage in terms of having good colleges, colleges, very good colleges where the students can go there and get themselves upgraded. But the main problem is Bangalore is too close. About 3 hours from here is Bangalore. So there's a tendency for people migrating to Bangalore, I know.
Dr. Shiv Kumar, would you agree with that?
I have a different set of inputs. See, Mysore, as you know, it is famous for heritage city. It's and educational hub for technical institution. And people will love to stay in Mysore because of the moderate temperature, cleanliness, affordable cost of living, low pollution, and low density of traffic. But the problem is we have the job opportunities in Mysore is less. Suppose if a particular engineering graduate, if he gets a job in one company in Mysore, due to some reason, if you want to change the job, there is very less chance of getting an alternate job, and the spectrum of opportunities in Mysore is less. That is one of the reasons why the techies or the engineering graduates doesn't prefer Mysore. If more the startups or more companies come to Mysore, then definitely we can improve the Mysore as the technical hub.
Okay. Arjun, I've heard two things that are definitely not working for Mysuru as a city, proximity to Bengaluru. Your views really on what perhaps going to propel?
I think the discussion predominantly is on how to get skill and skill development done in Mysore, not about employability. That being said, I think Mysore is fantastically positioned, both geographically as well as the way the city is, the cost of living as well, to become a skill development center. If anybody in India wants to get skilled for any job, they should think of Mysore as the destination. And Mysore is ideally placed for that. And I think all of us in Mysore owe that to the city because we are already an education hub. We are a cultural hub. We have a strong legacy with the royal family being here. That being said, if Mysore can position itself as the skilling capital of the country, and we are ideally suited for that, and I think we are there. Not about job employment, but if anybody can get skilled and go anywhere else, and Mysore can be the hub for skill development. And I think we are positioned to be that.
Okay, so during the course of this panel discussion, I'm going to attempt to break down what it is that it's going to require of us to move to being known, Mysuru being known as the skill development capital of the world. But let me come to you, Mr. Jain, your thoughts.
Mysore is a peaceful city, calm. At the same time, it is an industrial hub also now, particularly for MSMEs. In the whole of Karnataka, Mysore, we have got 25,000 micro small enterprises in Mysore. And comparatively, Belgaum stands first in Karnataka, second is Mysore. And at the same time, in compared to our skill development, right from the Vadayar regime, they have started Chamarajendra Technical Institute. Now, GTTC from our state government, and again CIPET, Central Institute of Plastic Engineering Technology, is in Mysore. All skill centers started in Mysore. And there is a good scope for skill development in Mysore. And at the same time, Government of Karnataka and India also, they are supporting skill developments. And at the same time, in even our small scale industries, particularly MSMEs, we are the real skill developers.
All right. Jayant, let me come to you. Two of our panelists on my right have said that proximity to Bengaluru perhaps is a disadvantage of sorts for someone who's based here in Mysore. you're someone who's based in Bangalore. So let me put you on the spot and say, do you think perhaps that it is true that everyone's migrating and therefore, Mysuru becoming a hub for skill development, perhaps, that, students maybe passing out of colleges immediately going to larger cities and getting trained and then joining companies like yours?
See, my perspective is very simple. Like, so the question, see, at one point of time, we are addressing a problem that we have in the country where majority of the people are not very skilled, right? The first question is that whether Mysore gives the required skill set or Bangalore gives the required skill set would not matter much. What would matter much is whether we have the workforce trained or not. Because the question is today, in today's world, we are looking at we're pretty much globalized, right? So the question is that the workforce that we have today, if you look at our country as a whole, below 25 years, we have a huge population, right? The question is, they should be trained enough to pick up a job. Whether they get a job in Bangalore or they get a job abroad should not matter till the time we are able to facilitate our workforce with the right set of skill set where they get the employment. I think that should solve the purpose. And I believe Mysore is strategically located because it's pretty near to Bangalore. And let's say that if we are giving skill set to a particular set of people, I think cost is also an element that any organization would look at. So what I believe is, let's say Mysore is pretty strategically located and the cost element to train anybody would be lower than what it would be in Bangalore. So I think that is the biggest advantage, and I believe once people are trained, they can easily be picked up in the nearby cities. I think Bangalore is one of them.
Sure, okay. Yeah. I just want to pick up on that and add some data. We as journalists, of course, love data, and I want to open this up. We have a lot of representatives from industry bodies on this panel. Karnataka contributes 7.5% to GDP. This is figures that are as of 2016-17. It's, of course, expected to become much higher if, and it comes with a caveat, that if appropriate training is provided to the workforce which is expected to enter the marketplace by, say, 2022, at least, if you're looking at the next 4 to 5 years, the short term. What is it it's going to take on the part of companies, on the part of industry associations, perhaps private companies, educational institutions, to ensure that the 7.5% then is becoming much higher?
When you talk about skilling, what I personally feel is, are we talking about skilling a plumber, an electrician, or are we talking about skilling in the new age of Industry 4.0? We at FKCCI have thought about this, and we are starting a skilling center at Dobbespet, where we intend to train the students who wish to go abroad. That will affect. So what is very important for us is to understand, when we talk about skilling, are we talking about the skilling of the past, or we are talking about 4.0, which is very, very important. And this is one of the reasons in the pre-budget memorandum to the state government of Karnataka, we mentioned that this is what you have to do, because Karnataka is the leader in IT and manufacturing. It's Gujarat, it's Maharashtra, and it is Tamil Nadu who are very good in manufacturing. Karnataka is the leader in IT. I think it is very essential for Karnataka to take the lead and see that Industry 4.0, the skilling that particular segment is very, very important. This is what I personally feel.
Wonder if you have anything that you might want to respond in terms of what kind of skilling does India as a country need? Yes, AI, yes, virtual reality, yes, cloud, but that's a small percentage, I would presume, of the population.
Yeah, I think, I've been born and brought up in Mysore, and we've been running a business for 70 years. And the fundamental difference that I see today is we are moving from job-oriented training to job-related training. The job-related training is what is most important. I think the government is coming up with the apprentice program, which is a fantastic initiative. You get 1,500 rupees per month from the government. Not too many MSMEs use it, but I think apprenticeship, on-the-job training for job-related training. Let's just take the example of smart city. We are all talking about smart city, smart city. But there is not one skill development program on how do you create a smart city and what is the talent pool required to create a smart city. Just to install a gateway, the competencies required are paramount. Talking about artificial intelligence, all of that, it's fundamental. But what we are moving into is just 4 fundamental things, right? Installation, commissioning, repair, and maintenance of anything. It could be AI, it could be anything, and all of that is job related. And I think the country is realizing that, and each of us in our organizations are doing that with people that we recruit and who come in. If there is some way to formalize it and create a skilling center to be able to impart that knowledge, we came from an era of vocational training and job-oriented courses. And I think we need to move to job-related. courses now?
See, in Germany, what they do is the part of the engineering course or whatever, there's an internship where they have compulsory have to, work in a company related to their course. Now, this is what I think it's called some dual training or something like that. Now, this is not what is happening today. We have engineers coming out in large numbers, but as he rightly mentioned, they are not fit for the work they want. Today, Bosch trains most of the people who are absorbed into that company. They have a skilling center, internal skilling center. In India, only 20% of the company is the internal skilling center is only in 20%, whereas in Germany it's about 68%. So this is where the whole issue is, that until and unless we have this internship training of about 1 year or whatever on the practical side, apart from the theoretical side, I think that would be a great boon for the youngsters who can get good jobs.
Time for a break, but we'll continue bringing you highlights of that panel discussion from Mysuru. That's on the other side. Just stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the show we're bringing you some of the biggest voices talking on skill development. This from a panel discussion that I did in Mysuru earlier. Listen. I have some more data that I want to refer to at this point. Karnataka has the highest demographic dividend in the country. We have 8.4 million new workers who are expected to enter the workforce by 2022. That said, of the 2.4 crore registered workers in the country, data showing 3/4 of them are in the informal space. Jayant, this question is for you. If maybe you could first start by talking to the audience gathered here tonight very briefly about the model that you follow, where you are training for specific job roles, and then about how perhaps this huge base that we have who are clearly in the informal space, informal sector, can then enter the formal workspace.
Okay, see, what we do at Yantra is, first of all, just for everybody's understanding, we're in a national smartphone repair chain. So apparently we need a lot of people who are skilled in smartphone repairs. But the biggest problem that we as an organization face is when we recruit somebody, we find that they are not so fit to do the right amount of job that we need. So having said that, what we do is we put them through a comprehensive training program, which is for 6 months. So it apparently works like a on-job training where they're trained and then they are expected to perform the basic level job in the beginning. So let's say when we pick somebody for 1 month, we would give them the basic book training where we tell them, we educate them on how a smartphone works, on the hardware and the software side. Then they go through the level 1 training where we kind of tell them on the basic smartphone repair work, how can they open, how can they close it, what are the functionalities, etc. And at the same time, when they are getting trained, they also get to perform certain tasks, and we have an internal judgment or internal system to monitor them, that how are they performing. Based on the performance, then we keep pushing them further. So you need to understand that today everybody is very aspirational, right? You cannot hire somebody and keep them at a level for years. There has to be a career succession path for anybody who is employed with any organization. If you do not have that, probably you will end up losing them a year or 2 years down the line. So that kind of helps us to give them regular training, help them to move to one level to the another and perform the most critical tasks when it comes to repairs.
At this stage, if each of you could perhaps talk to our MSMEs who are going to be watching this show and the audience here tonight, 1 or 2 things that a small business then needs to keep in mind when it comes to skilling. Yes, we have challenges. Yes, we are not in an ideal situation. But that said, for an MSME, which is in any specific industry, saying we need specific manpower, trained manpower, what should they be keeping in mind?
Ma'am, today, if you know, GST has come into force on 1st of July. We have a tremendous demand for GST trained accountants. There are no accountants available. Today, you don't get a chartered accountant or an accountant who's conversant with the GST. Why? It's a new law. There are very few people who know. Earlier, it was an accountant who would come to your office, work for 1 hour and push off. Now, that doesn't happen. So, what is very important is that the skill sets, what is required today. There's a requirement of about 1 million jobs of accountants in India only on GST. This is the requirement. But we don't have that skill set. Only people who have been in the finance side know a little. So there is a requirement for that. No, so ultimately, for MSME, compliance today is very, very important. Why compliance is important? Because the penal clauses, the prosecution clauses are very, very stringent. Now, if I have to be compliant, I should have people, who have the skill sets to work. Now, today, the unorganized sector is coming to the organized sector because of demonetization, because of GST. Now, these unorganized sector people, they are a one-man army. They sweep the floor, they run the show, they go to the bank, a few people, very few people. So how do they do? So this is the main problem with MSMEs, and they cannot afford.
Okay, so what is the solution then, is what I'm trying to understand.
I would say the solution is, one is outsourcing. They have to outsource. And then the second one, they have to train people. They have to get people.
So for small businesses looking for appropriate skilled manpower, does the education system then perhaps answer that need? Does it fill that gap?
That's what, as I told regarding the foreign language problem, when you want to go to some other country, see, in most of the institutions, what they are doing is they are introducing the foreign language as one of the course of study, so that they can pick up the foreign language like the French or Japanese or some other German, some other language, so that their employability is going to increase.
I think for all the MSMEs and SMEs out there, India is going through a fantastic run now, and it's going to continue. And it is in each and every one of us to ensure that the people working in our organizations get adequately skilled to face global competition. Constant skill development and talent management has become essential. We fundamentally look at salary wage administration as HR and statutory compliance. I think we have to start moving beyond that and actually look at talent management and how do we constantly skill and upgrade our employees within our organization, and also how do we help community come up. When I say community, I mean people in schools, in colleges. How do we constantly skill them? Because I remember that students who start first year engineering, by the time they come to the fourth year of engineering, whatever they've learned, the entire industry dynamic has changed. I read stats that say that students who graduate today, in 4 years' time, the entire industry in itself would have changed. In this shift, constant learning mindset, how do you learn and unlearn in an organization becomes key.
Sure, all right.
See, in Mysuru, nearly 2,500 varieties of products we are manufacturing in Mysuru. NSTC, and that is the National Skill Development Center, should come forward and join with MSME associations to skill the youths in our industries. So that's the solution for the skill development, and let them do on their own in future also. They can become self-employable also. Government of India and Karnataka has got several schemes. After our training in our industries, skilled in industries, they can be a self-employed also.
See, I believe all the corporates or the companies, they have to do it themselves. See, the point is nobody better than the companies, or they can understand that what exactly they need people to be trained upon. Government should encourage MSMEs to do the training themselves in-house, and there should be enough encouragement to do that. I believe that should further help and solve the purpose.
All right. Let me at this point invite questions from the audience.
Good evening. I'm an advisor to the Government of India as a skill development. So I represent the Ministry of India. There are a lot of opportunities today. We have a program called as a RISE, which is reaching out to the rural area, where we are taking a lot of MSMEs for creating a job opportunities and showing the job opportunity for rural kids. Second one is, if they want to become a startup, we have ideapreneurs. We are reaching out more than 1 lakh ideapreneur. Recently, we did a sample test in Karnataka. We have, by reaching around 2.67 lakh students, and with 30 districts, it's 129 rural taluk. So it's a beautiful, we have done a pilot, now we are going to taking up in entire India. So that is another part. But I see the third component for Mysuru is a great, as Arjun rightly said, that's a good opportunity for Mysuru to become a skill city. And now it is a heritage city which can able to move to the skill city, because we can able to produce the skill required manpower across globe.
Thank you for that. I just want to add NSDC figures that I have showing a massive disparity when it comes to skilled and highly skilled. 2.27% in India of all the workers we have registered are minimally skilled. 5% are highly skilled, and it's estimated there will be a shortage of 7 lakh skilled and approximately 4 lakh highly skilled workers by 2022. Just to pick up on what you're saying, yes, there are government policies and skills and schemes, but how do you ensure that that is actually coming down to the ground level? That perhaps is where the disconnect is happening.
I would want to add something here while we're discussing this, and some of the things you rightly pointed out. See, there are a couple of skills which are very common. So per se, what I would say, let's say soft skills and communication skills. I think these two things, they actually go tag along with anything that you are teaching to anybody, right? Because most of the time, people whom we are training with, they would be actually going out in the world and dealing with people, right? If they are not trained on soft skills and comm skills, that actually becomes a roadblock for majority of the jobs. So I believe this is something which must be inculcated in any of the skill development program that we are or anybody is running out.
I think the fundamental definition of what skilled is and what highly skilled is changing rapidly. I mean, I'll just take an example of what we faced in our organization. We did a complete automation of the HR process. So we had this guy who was extremely highly skilled in doing salary wage administration and looking at PF and ESI and how to file that. Once we automated it, he's become completely unskilled now. He has no role to play at all in the organization. Right? Unless he upscaled himself, it wouldn't have happened.
That's our show tonight. If you want to know where we're headed next, or you have any feedback or any concerns or thoughts on the topic of this panel discussion, here's how you let us know. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. Tweet at us at LOT_ET now or Sunanda_J, or reach us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.